Okay, welcome to Tanya Inside Out at G4 Tafshin Pei Vav, chapters 26 and 27. It's a big bite, but hopefully we can do it in an hour and a quarter. So Tanya moves into a whole new... If you need to divide Sefer Tanya into two sections, I think anybody who knows Sefer Tanya would probably divide it here, from chapters 1 to 25 and 26 to 53. That would be a good clean place to break the Sefer in half. So we now get into Avodas Hashem, like Shalom Aleichem, and the main ikuvim, like what is it? What are the things that stop us from serving Hashem properly? And the first thing, the Rebbe doesn't beat around the bush here at all. The first thing, the most essential ingredient to Avodas Hashem is... I'm putting you on the spot here. According to the Tanya. No. The most essential. I mean, that is Avodas Hashem, I suppose. Yeah, but that's Avodas Hashem. But once you're in Avodas Hashem, what is the essential ingredient of Avodas Hashem?
Simcha.
Simcha. Thank you. Shkoyach. He says Simcha. So now we need to know what Simcha is. So the way I've understood from my Rebbe what Simcha is. It's like we've spoken about this before. We'll explain again. It's actually a very kind of sophisticated idea. I mean, Simcha is also called Psichas Alev, openness of heart. So Simcha isn't just like, walking around with a big smile. That might come from being B'Simcha, but that isn't B'Simcha. Simcha means that you are emotionally available. So what's the opposite of Simcha? Simcha's got two opposites. Yeah, so that's called atzvus. Yeah, that's the most obvious. So Simcha, which is psichas alev, the opposite of Simcha would be atzvus or depression, which is called timtum alev. Yeah, or stimus alev, whatever you want to call it. The Tanya calls it timtum alev. Either the heart is open, which means you're available for emotion, or the heart is closed, which means the person's not available for emotion. And now it's very important that, again, I'm learning psychology. Yeah, I've made it a thing to master psychology however you can. So I'm very deep into that right now, which is really amazing. And I'm just seeing with my background in Tanya that the Tanya's understanding of psychology is so deep, and all what is happening from everything that I'm learning now in these secular books is they're just giving proof and proof and proof for the pneumius of Sefer Tanya, like case studies and experiments, etc., that just prove this over and over again incredibly. So the books that I'm reading now, they don't understand. It appears to me they don't understand the oimek of what's really going on, because they don't have a spiritual structure behind what's going on. So they only get to Ad Kan and they describe it really well, but they're not. I know I'm being vague here because it would take too long to get into it. But the way that Tanya breaks down the personality, I'm going to try and say it really quickly, but this is very important, and this is a big chiddush. Okay, so when we talk about emotions, people talk about anger and happiness and depression, and some people even say pleasure for emotion, and all irritability and hatred, and there's all these emotions. Yeah. So the way I understand it with Tanya is you've got like this: you've got pleasure, which is, it's not something that you have, it's what you are. You are pleasure. That's the very pneumius of, let's just talk about you as a human being. The very pneumius of you as a human being is a point of pleasure. A point of independent pleasure from God. That's what happened at the Chet Eitz Hadas. We became an independent, and that's why the Or Chaim says that the Or Chaim doesn't say it mamash clear, but I did see it somewhere very clear. But I know this is emes anyway. Is that when it says in the beginning of Bereshis that Adam had bushas because he was naked, it doesn't mean that just because he was like, walking around without clothes on, it was actually referring to the fact that he was b'shas ma'isa with Chava, and he felt his own sense of independent pleasure. And that for him was embarrassing. And that makes complete sense, because what's embarrassing? What does it mean? I'll give you a definition of embarrassing is me in Chicago, on Shabbos at the shul called Makor. Yeah, it's a big fancy shul, Litvisha Olam, well-to-do people, and there's one strimel. When I'm in the shul, there's just one strimel. That's me. That's a bit embarrassing. Why? It's not really, but what's the point? Yeah, embarrassing is when you stick out. Yeah? When you're not normal, when you're not in, that's what embarrassing is. Don't get me wrong, people get funny stuff in their head, yeah? But the concept of embarrassing, like we said before, a guy's wearing all white. He has a small spaghetti stain on his shirt, yeah? Completely white, one small spaghetti stain, yeah? How do you think the spaghetti stain feels? That's embarrassing. Look at me, I'm like all self-conscious, yeah? So that was...
If you get all covered in schmutz everywhere, then...
It becomes less... Exactly. But the point is when you stick out, and that is what happened by Gan Eden, is we started to feel our own independent sense of pleasure. And all of a sudden, you're not now one with reality. That what is it that causes every single problem in your life? Everything that you do wrong is your pleasure. Think about that. You can't even call it your pleasure. It's not something you have, it's you. Your pleasure has you. It's not that you have your pleasure, it's your pleasure. Then you are an extension of your pleasure. All of this is just graphics. Yeah. If you really boil reality down to really, really boil it down, I see it like this sometimes. Is you're just a point of pleasure. That's it. And it's illusionary. That point of pleasure is not real. So the more you pray and worship that point of pleasure, the more you fall out of reality, and that's called Elohim Achirim, and that's Sitra Achra, and that's nothing. And that's why you'll never be content. Just like Will Smith. Is it Will Smith? Will Smith?
Well,
the guy with the fame. Yeah, if that's what I'm talking about. He has a YouTube channel, yeah, 6 years ago. He's getting like millions. Yeah, he just opened up his YouTube channel, and you'd imagine immediately he's got millions, tens of millions of subscribers. Yeah, and I could see, he's getting like, on my YouTube channel, I was getting like, occasionally I would hit double figures in one of my videos. Occasionally, yeah. I got a lot of videos, got 0, still not watched by anyone. Yeah, I just put them up there, and I don't really care so much. But I saw by Will Smith, yeah, he was getting millions of views. And he was plutzing for more. You could see him. He was plutzing for more. You're like, when are you going to feel like, when you feel you have enough, The reason why no one ever feels they have enough in any of this stuff is because it's nothing. It's no thing. It's just, it's the more you bow to that point of pleasure that you think is you, the more you need to bow to it, because it's nothing. It's not real. You understand? It just leads to all kinds of... What?
I understand, but I have a question. That is that drive for pleasure for most people.
The what for pleasure? Drive for pleasure.
It's what and leads to a lot of people being productive in life and fundamentally being Isaac in Yeshiva Shalom. In general, the way the world works is people want pleasure, therefore they go to work, they work hard, and the world develops, and therefore they get some pleasure out of it. And Hashem created it that way.
Yeah.
And Hashem wants us to be Isaac in Yeshiva Shalom.
And this is the point. Thank you for saying that. The point is that your point of pleasure isn't there to crush. Your point of pleasure is there to use. This is the difference. Is your point of pleasure, is your point of pleasure an end unto itself, or is it a means to an end? That's the question. An end unto itself is called one word in English. An end unto itself is called a God. A means to an end, don't know what that's called. Not God. But that is in service of God. An end is always God. Yeah? I know that's very vague what I've just said. I can't even bother to unpack that. But pleasure is an end. Again, what are the three main pleasures? What are the three primary pleasures of a human being? Bia, Achila, and Shana also would be considered. Yeah, those are the three primary pleasures. I don't know if surfing is considered a primary pleasure or bungee jumping, whatever, but either way, those are the three primary pleasures, and that's actually, you could say it, Dagan, Bia, and Shana, which is Loshen Devash.
You wouldn't see covered?
What?
You wouldn't see covered as a pleasure?
So yeah, well, covered is a pleasure, but it's not like a physical. It's not like a crass pleasure. It's a different. Everything's a pleasure that you. Anything that you strive for is a pleasure. So
you think my pleasure, the level of nefesh, right? Because covered is a pleasure, like you said, that's on the level of rock already.
Covered is already a ruchnius pleasure. It's a ruchnius pleasure. Covered. Also, being masig something is a big pleasure. Having a love. Love isn't a pleasure, but having love expressed is a pleasure.
That's covered, no?
Yeah, there's lots of what?
That's covered, no?
No. Love being expressed is a pleasure.
Like a time to be a.
What?
So that time to be a, to some extent, I guess.
No. There's the pleasure of beer. There's the pleasure of beer.
Separate, I guess.
But anyway, we're getting. The point is, if you think of beer, don't think about beer. But beer and achila and shena, yeah, they've got two sides to each one of them. They're all pleasures, which means people chase after these things as an end unto themselves. Ask people in chutznos, why are you going out to eat? It's not saying got koyach for the next day. Yeah, you're going out to eat because there's the schmoozing as well. But the pleasure of the food is an end unto itself. And beer has gotten to a point now where, of course, it's an end unto itself. What pregnant? Chas v'shalom. Yeah, that's in the secular world. That's like the worst STD you could get is her getting pregnant. That's the worst. Rachmanis. Yeah? I was joking, I was giving a shit last night. And you know the whole thing about abortion? Yeah? I was saying if I was running the country, I would make having children illegal until you've proved that you're worthy of being a parent. And then we'll unstop you. Then forget about abortion. That wouldn't even come up. It'd be have people banging on my door saying, they'd come in, you'd talk to them, and you'd get that big thing like denied. Come back next year, until you're worthy of being a parent. Anyway.
No, but it's an unfair statement.
I'm joking.
Because I think a lot of people, it's just the fact that they have a child.
You're right. Yeah, for sure. It was a joke. But the what were you saying? That was a distraction.
The three base pleasures.
So beer's got nothing to do with procreation. It's recreation, not procreation. It's recreation. Yeah, and Shana as well. So all three of those things are intrinsically means to ends. One is to have children, one is to have energy, and one is to be refreshed, rejuvenated, etc. Yeah? That's what those three things are. But they get hijacked and turned into an end unto themselves. But you realise that they don't actually become the end unto themselves. Beer is not an end unto itself. Achila can never be an end unto itself. Shana can never be an end unto itself. What's the end unto itself?
The pleasure.
You. Yeah. The pleasure, exactly. Your pleasure. Again, it's not your pleasure. That's the end. There's only two options. Reality always divides into two options. Whether you're struggling with being horrible to your wife, or you're struggling with internet porn, or you're struggling with not being straight in your business, or whatever you're struggling with, yeah, you're not struggling with that. You're struggling with the illusion and the delusion that you are something separate from reality. That's the struggle. So if you get super hyper focused on that, you'll see, not that you can't use tips and tricks and eights along the way, for sure not. But if you get hyper focused on the fact that you exist in context of reality, just get super focused on that, and you'll see a lot of these issues just start to fall away. You'll say things to yourself like, the girl will walk past you and you'll want to look. And you'll be like, not, I'm too righteous or this is my tikkun or whatever. It's just like, it's not allowed. It's just not allowed. Imagine that. If that was real to you, it's asa. Those words, it's asa. Well, if it's asa, that means that you are part of a system. The only reason why you do things that are asa, at least for the moment when you do them, is because you feel that you've gone beyond the system and you're your own system. You're a law unto yourself. What?
You didn't subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. You're not part of the system. You've created your own system. You've become your own God. Yeah, that's not Beseder. Stupid as well. And it's just going to cause, that causes Gehenna. That's like, Gehenna isn't like, I don't know what Gehenna is, yeah, but I do know what Gehenna is. I don't know what it isn't, mamash, but Gehenna for sure, on one bechina, is thinking that you're God. Just falling out of reality. What that leads to is just Gehenna. That is Gehenna. That's like the way the system got set up. It's not, I don't think it's this, I don't know, but I would assume it's not this place where you go where there's like fire and little guys with spikes and whips and stuff like that, yeah? Call me an imperialist. What?
Some people.
Some people are looking forward to it. Oh, manus. It's like the joke the sadist said to the masochist said to the sadist, "Hurt me," and the sadist looked at him and went, "No." Anyway, so to just put the system clear, yeah? You've got pleasure, which is who you are. That's what you are, not who. That's what you are. You are a point of pleasure. Yeah, so that's not an emotion. Yeah, then you've got your internet. That's obviously not an emotion. Emotions in Tanya is called Ava and Yira. Okay, now if you want to call that love and fear, that would be Ava and Yira mitzad tov. You could also call it lust and hate. That would be Ava and Yira mitzad ra. Emotion is just energy. Emotional energy, meaning it moves you towards, that's called Ava. It moves you away, that's called Yira. Now that could be good or bad, yeah? If you're being moved towards something in a good way, that would be called Ava. And if you're being moved away from something in a good way, that would be called Yira. But if you're moving towards something in a bad way, that would be called lust. Yeah, don't know what you'd call it in Hebrew. And if you're moving away from something for a bad way, that would be called hate. Yeah, so that is... All emotion is, according to Tanya, the way I understand it, the way I learned from my Rebbe, all emotion is in Tanya is an energy to move towards or an energy to move away, a repulsion towards or attraction to. So simcha is not, this is the point of what I said all this, simcha is not an emotion, according to the Tanya breakdown. In the regular breakdown of the world, everyone would say simcha and depression are two emotions, yeah? Might even say that before love and fear, yeah? But for the way I've learned from Tanya is that simcha is the availability to emotion. Without simcha, there can't be love and fear. And atzvus is the unavailability, the inavailability, whatever, is not being available to emotion. That's what depression is. So Ava and Yira are the only emotions. Now, are you besimcha or are you be'atzvus? If you're besimcha, your Ava and Yira is going to have, there's going to be flow. Yeah, you're going to be moved towards and pushed away. You'll be living a rich emotional life. Yeah, both sides. We'll say something in a minute that'll make even more sense. Whereas if a person's betimtum alev, yeah, there's not going to be Ava or Yira. There's just no life. That's why atzvus and atzlus, depression and laziness, are grouped together. Yeah, they both come from the beginning of offer, of earth. And they're grouped together because I heard my Rebbe say one time that really you could argue that atzvus, I don't want to upset anybody who's going through a depression, but there is one way of explaining it, that atzvus is actually a laziness to have an emotion. It's actually a kind of like you're too lazy to have an emotion, which could be for many people. Atzvus is connected to atzlus. So atzvus, it could be argued, again, there's more to it, there's bechinas and there's also physiological things as well going on, that atzvus is in some ways a laziness to experience an emotion. Innovate either way.
At the end of a deep, like subconscious level, where the person is so kind of like scared of experiencing.
It could be scared to experience emotion. You can think about that yourself.
I thought about it before. Atzvus and atzvus are connected.
Yeah.
And the gematria different is koyach.
Oh,
I don't know
really?
what that means, but Koyach is the 28.
You just worked that out now, or you just
No, I
realised
had
that?
that. I thought
Yeah, I hear that now.
It
Yeah.
could be the self-discipline to actually get out of it.
Koyach somehow has different answers.
Interesting.
So then what
Anyway,
would be-
so now Atzvus and Simcha are diametrically opposed. Simcha is called Psichas Haleiv, it's availability to emotion, so it's not an emotion per se. It's the prerequisite for emotion. That's a big chiddush. You realise that, yeah? It's not an emotion. Simcha is not like just another ingredient into your Avodas Hashem. And by the way, what does it mean, kavana, in Sefer Tanya? What is the kavanas a mitzvah? According to Sefer Tanya. Or tell me, what do you understand when you mean kavanas a mitzvah stam? What do you understand by kavanas a mitzvah?
Intention.
What?
It's an intention.
What does that mean? So quickly though.
Well, according to what we're learning right now in Daf Yomi, you not only have to think it and intend, you actually have to say it, because the machshava of like to be mefagel, you actually have to say that I intend this for another day, for another time, for another place. Like you have to have. It can't just be a thought alone.
So what are you doing?
It become an actualization
Of what? Of what?
Of yourself. You become the mitzvah.
Of your intention.
You become one with the
Your
mitzvah.
intention.
So what does that mean? You're doing it. So, but just that's a deep thing. Leave that for a minute. When you say you have the intention behind a mitzvah, I always understood that is like you like thinking more as you're doing the mitzvah. Like I'm doing this for Hashem, or I'm being miyached right now, Malchus and Yosoid, or the different shemas. That's just a further extension
Paying
of
attention to it.
paying attention. Yeah. So according to Tanya, the way I understand it is the kavanas of mitzvah refers to your motivation for doing the mitzvah, the energy that motivates the mitzvah, which is very different to the other idea that I always learned, which was when somebody davens with the kavanas, yeah, like with the Rishash or whatever it is, yeah, they are using their mind to connect different spheres or whatever they're doing, yeah.
I was thinking a little different. It's like you can't just light a candle and not having a Shabbos candle.
But pay attention. You
have
never
the
do.
intention for a Shabbos candle. You're just lighting a candle. Happens to be before Shabbos, but does that count for a mitzvah or a Shabbos candle?
You're saying you get to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's
Well, there's
it's not
mitzvahs and nashim u'melamada. That's the point. This is what he's saying. There's mitzvahs and nashim u'melamada, yeah, where it's Friday afternoon. I better light the candles. Yeah, that's how.
If she just happens to be, or if you're alone and you happen to be just lighting candles.
No, except for tzedakah. Yeah, but that's the point. This is the point. This is
So Rishash has a different system. of kavanas as well.
My point is,
different to Tanya in many ways, so it's hard to kind of connect it to.
I'm not saying this is right and the other's wrong. I'm just trying to say that when
If you're
kavanah.
cold and you put on a talit, are you fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzit?
There's different.
Yes.
It's a big machlokes. I don't want to get into this machlokes. We're being pulled away from the. We're being pulled away. So this is a very, very conversation. But by the Tanya, the way I understand it is that the kavana means the intention by which you're doing it. So you could have an intention where you're mamash makova, yeah, where you're mamash godly, like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and Moshe, Aaron, David, Yosef, where you're God Himself. God's working through you, mamash, yeah, and there's no you. Yeah, that's the highest level. Then there's what's called Ava Sichlis, where you created a palpable emotion in your heart, where your heart pumps to a different rhythm because of your mind. Yeah, you've used your mind in such a way where you're actually mamash energized for the mitzvah. Then there's the Ava Tvius, which is the natural love that a Jew has for the mitzvah, for Hashem. And then there's what's called mitzvahs and nashim u'melamada, yeah, where there's no kavana. Why are you doing it? What do you mean? It's 7:30 a.m.
Right.
So yes, that's what I do. Then there's what the Rebbe calls lo lishma mamash, which in the Tanya he calls lios talmud chacham, to be a talmud chacham. He says in that respect, the energy, he doesn't say chas v'sholem by the way. In that respect, the energy of the mitzvah ends up going into klipas noiga until you do tshuva. He doesn't even mention it, but the final level is lakante, which is not good. That's not mitoch lo yishma bo yishma. That's better not to the mitzvah, and that's when the energy of the mitzvah goes into klipas tameas mamash, and that demands a big tshuva.
What about like when somebody gets an aliyah to show everyone? or something like that.
That would be Leo's Tamatochem. That's not Lakanta. Lakanta would mean learning up a sugya so I can make you look stupid when I come to your shir.
Right.
That would be Lakanta. Better not to do that. But Leo's Tamatochem, I just had a 5-day argument with my chavrusa about this. And the way I understand it, and though he doesn't agree with me, he didn't give any decent understandings in my but if a person is on the path of Leos Talmud Chochem for long enough, he will end up being a murderer. That's how I see it. Could take many centuries, yeah. But the point is that if you're not with some kind of rotzon to get to Lishma, and it's just Leos Talmud Chochem, well, that will eventually you will become God in your own right. And my Chavrusa, who's a much bigger Talmud Chochem than me, he disagreed with me. Anyway, we can argue that out. The point is though,
Leo Talmud Chacham, you mean like learning Torah just
to be a Talmud Chochem,
Like Kayan.
not Lishma.
Lukovad Atzmi, yeah. Not because Hashem said to become a Talmud Chochem, because you want to be a Talmud Chochem. Look, it's Geschmack, I get to know loads of stuff. People stand up for me. It's it's cool. That you need to, like the Moranayim always mention a famous thing. He says Matoich Lo Lishma Bo Lishma, which is one of the most that when anyone says that to me, I start to cringe because I know that Matoich Lo Lishma Bo Lishma, those 5 words, you could literally write. I personally could write a few svarim. So imagine thinking and you just cast off the whole thing of so what about Lishma? They're like, Matoich Lo Lishma Bo Lishma. Done. Everything that I understand Yiddishkeit, he just went because of those 5 words. So I don't know, but the Moranayim said, to understand it, is that Mitoich Lo Lishma Bo Lishma, meaning from the fact that you hate that you're being Ovid Lo Lishma, you'll get to Lishma. But if you've been taught that Lo Lishma is a L'chachila, then there's Bichlal there's no Haftacha that the person will come to Lishma. No Haftacha. In fact, maybe you could argue that it will get worse and worse. There has to be a Rotzon to get to Lishma. And you have to know that it's available. You have to know, if somebody ever says to you, oh, Halavai would have Yirsa Oynesh, I'm not even able to respond to that anymore. I think you should just beat him up. That's really what I think. That's what?
It's productive.
Yeah. No, that is that kind of dismisses 6,000 years of Hashem's handiwork. It just means that look at us now. We're just so pathetic that Halavai would have Yirsa Oynesh. Yeah? Halavai would fear Gehenna. The way I see reality, just because I'm not looking so much at the graphics, because obviously our Avodah doesn't look as impressive as the Tanoim.
That's such a real statement. Halavai should have Yirsa Oynesh, because it's such a natural thing to walk. And the example that you brought up, and you have an actual woman in front of you, while the Onesh, the Gehenna, is so arbitrary and so out there. It's very difficult to have your mind come to terms with physically in front of me, or piece of meat that may not be right for me to eat right now, whatever it is. While the Onesh, the Gehenna, is so arbitrary and so far away, you'll figure out a way to touch it out to.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say now is that if we learn the right things, you've got a sophisticated mind. You realise that your mind is incomparable to somebody a regular person, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, Kal V'chomer 500 years ago. Don't get me wrong, they're always the Yechidim, But now all of us are all regular people sitting at the table. You realise how sophisticated our minds are compared to 100 years ago, 150 years ago? It's incomparable. It's a different. You're dealing with the difference in an F-16 and a Susagala. Literally, we are able now to use our mind in a way where you don't even again in the worst case scenario, to stop you if it's really going to stop you. But from the people that I talk to, no one cares about Gehenna. No one believes in Gehenna. That's what I'm trying to say. So what is that? No, that's what I'm trying to say to you now. Why is that? Why did Hashem do that? Because we are now able to be musig ideas where we can actually be serving him for a heilige reason. Not just the fact that I'm going to get goodies or I'm not going to get poked with an iron hot pot, because that's still me. Whereas now we can actually use our mind. Like, I saw let me.
Even the reward, that Kirat Hashem, to a lot of people, it's very arbitrary. It's very difficult to get.
You're right. We can go. You're right. It is the same thing. Yeah, but I'm not saying that. Anyone ever heard me talk about that? We should be serving Hashem so we can have the geschmack of Devakus. That's Gan Eden. It's the same thing. We're serving Hashem because that's real. That's real. Finished.
So in some ways, our job right now
that's
is to train
service.
ourselves.
What?
So in some ways, what you're saying is that our job right now is to train ourselves to live in Vegas and live in
What do you mean by Devakus? Again, most people have had Devakus means some kind of like feeling, like some kind of massage feeling.
The reality of Hashem.
What does that mean, man? Feeling what does that? I don't know what that means. And I'll tell you, that depends on what you ate last night. That depends on how much sleep you got. That depends on if you made money this week.
I'm talking about living with the full reality of Shvisi Hashem.
Oh, that's a different thing. That's not. You said the feeling of being close to Hashem. That's a very different thing.
Okay,
what you just said.
you're right. Feeling is the wrong word, but more like the reality of being close to Hashem.
That's why I just said that. Again, the reality of being close to Hashem. Like, close to Hashem means that you're in line with Him.
I guess in the words of Shulchan Aruch, Shvisi Hashem Negisan, living with that reality to the point where, okay, you train yourself to live in that reality, and then after 120, the real Ganeda will be the fact that you train yourself in this world, and therefore your neshama continues on that status quo, and then you're completely free to just be connected to Hashem without the physical body. Am I understanding you correctly?
Why do you, like, when your dad goes and asks you to get him a newspaper from the shop, what are you thinking? You're overwhelmed by your dad, yeah. No, I know, whatever, fill in the blank, yeah, whoever you want to think about. But somebody asks you to do them a tova. Your father asks you to do a tova. What's the feeling here? Why am I doing it? He's your dad.
Or sometimes people just do things because they're asked to.
Okay. Again, just try and understand what I'm saying there. Try and understand when I'm talking about a kesha that is so real, that's so more real than anything you can understand, anything you can feel, anything you can do. It's just real. There's nothing to feel. What are you feeling? It just is. That's like why now we can learn it now to get that in your head, to understand that. It's not a simple thing. That takes a lot of learning to get to the idea of the actual mensch as opposed to the name. Yeah, caught up in the things about the person, to understand the foundation. Like when you look at a screen, yeah? When you look at your computer screen, what are you seeing? You're seeing your email. You're seeing the YouTube video, you're seeing the computer game, whatever you're seeing, yeah? Well, what about the screen?
You don't see that.
You don't see the screen. Because you're so distracted. I mean, it'd be annoying if you didn't see anything else, you just saw the screen. But in the moshul, you have to remember always, that's what Yiddishkeit is the connection to the screen. Then you've got all of the graphics of the world. But the screen is the fact, that's the real relationship. Now, when you're serving for all these other things, you're makadish these things. Because you're not serving for these things. Now, once you're in this world of like actual reality, I don't want to call it his kashrus to Hashem because people think that means some kind of like thing like this. Yeah? When you're in reality, Shalachem, when you're in reality, that means you're completely aware of the screen. Now, how you makadish the screen, lahavdil? By interfacing with the email correctly. By interfacing with the YouTube correctly, which means by turning it off. Yeah? By interfacing with whatever you're doing, yeah? Whatever you're doing on the screen. Now that, once you're completely cognizant of the screen, now get involved in the experiences that come to you from the screen. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's a different. The purpose is not the experience. The purpose is Him, Yisbuach. The experience is something you're giving to Him. Is that clear? So we're not. This is okay. I don't want to get. This is going away. We've spoken about this for many hours over the past couple of years. But what I'm trying to say here is that we are finally available. Our generation is finally available to understand these very subtle ideas. In the old days, either it was mamash yichidim, and I don't even know if people understood these ideas because there wasn't the build-up of the. We always take for granted that for sure they knew everything. Yeah, but the Gemara says that Moshe was mamash pulling his hair out when he saw Rabbi Akiva darshaning the tagim of the Oisius. So the Chora, and then Rabbi Akiva says, we learn this from, and everything I learn, I say I learn from my Rebbe. Everything my Rebbe says, he said from his Rebbe. He said, learn from the Baal Shem Tov. So, but I don't know if maybe the Baal Shem Tov was sitting in my shir going, wow, that's amazing how he came out with that. And I'm saying, I just learned from the Baal Shem Tov. I don't know. It's more comfortable to say that, what?
Considering the fact that it's Tanya, he definitely knew it.
He what?
Considering the fact that it's Tanya, he definitely knew it.
He definitely knew.
He knew Tanya. He didn't know Tanya, the written text, but at the same time, Tanya was.
Again, why does Moshe? Again, we've been given this picture of reality, that we've just taken hook, line, and sinker without any thought. I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying I don't know. The Hashem is really big, yeah. Hashem is not mechuyev to anything that anyone thinks. I don't care who he is. The Rebbeinu Shalom can do what he wants. And just because he thinks it's going to be, this guy thinks that Hashem does it like this, yeah? I don't care what he thinks. I'm open to all possibilities. If the Rebbeinu Shalom wants to reveal Torah over the generations, and at this point we're like in this matzah, it's very convenient, it's very, again, I'm not saying that I'm right, I'm just giving you the Havamina. It's a very convenient egoic protection to say that everything who came before me knew everything. So now I don't really need to listen to anyone particularly because it's all just. Do you understand how that protects the ego? The minute you say that something in our Masorah there could be some kind of discussion about, the ego already feels very, very vulnerable. I'm just saying I don't know. And that means I'm available to see what the Rebbeinu Shalom does. So the way that I understood it is in our generation with this, the way my Rebbe explains the way the Torah is revealed is like a rose. The rose begins completely sealed. It's there 100%, but it's completely sealed. Yeah, and he said that was like by Matan Torah when we were given the rose. Yeah, and then it started to open up. Yeah, and it went through the Tanoim, and it went through the Amoraim, and it went through the Rishonim, and then it went through the Mekubalim, and then it came to the Hasidim. And at this point in reality now, where at Yemos Mashiach, the rose is completely open. Yeah?
I feel like the petals are falling off.
I don't think so, man.
I think some are being pruned, but definitely it's falling off.
So, but the way that I see it now is that we are in a position, using our sophisticated minds, to serve God we are now finally able to go beyond our mind because our minds have become so sophisticated. We can, if we just put energy into understanding these ideas that I'm trying to teach the whole time, yeah, as opposed to all the funny things we put in our mind into trying to understand, yeah, and we get reality clearer and clearer and clearer. I'm telling you from my own experience, you become more and more lishma. Now you're choishish for yourself for sure. You're choishish for yourself, but you become more and more lishma. And how do you know? How do you know that you're becoming more and more lishma? The ultimate litmus test of your lishma.
Take the ego out. Your ego is less.
No. How do you know though? The only real way you know. I'm sorry if this is going to offend anyone. Ask your wife what she thinks of her husband, and you'll find out where your lishma is. That's a really good litmus test. Is it 100%? I don't know if it's 100%, but it's pretty accurate. Yeah, because she knows you, mamash. And what's repulsive is selfishness. Selfishness is repulsive. Selflessness is attractive. So let's see. Ask your wife where you're holding. Sit down. That'll help you. So, and your children or whatever matzah you're in, yeah. That's what it says. If the what is it? Brias noiche hemenu. If people like you, that's a simon that the Rebbeinu Shalom likes you. Says in Pirkei Avos, yeah. So now this idea of saying halavai would serve from fear of punishment, not fear of God. Fear of punishment, in my mind, is just like we're ready to go beyond for the first time in all of reality, for the first time in creation, as a Hamon Am of Yidden, we're ready to go beyond reward and punishment into the world of genuine service, which makes a lot of sense. So now, we keep getting pulled in different angles. Simcha is we went into Kavanas Mitzvah, and all of this was all about Kavanas Mitzvah. But the point is, the only way that you can have a motivation to do a mitzvah is called Avos Hashem. The motivation to not do an Aveira, the real motivation to not do an Aveira, is called Yiras Hashem. There is no Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem without Psichas Aleiv, without Simcha. Now, this is an important point. Simcha has got another opposite. So we said the opposite of Simcha is Timtum Aleiv, is Atzvus, is depression. But Simcha's got another opposite. Which is called Avelus. Now, Avelus is also the opposite of Atzvus. So it looks like this.
Avelus is in morning?
Avelus is morning with a U, yeah. Yeah. So you have, if you look, I don't know if you can see this, yeah? You have here Simcha. This is called Psichas Aleiv, and this is called Timtum Aleiv. So we said that Simcha, the opposite of Atzvus, which is also Daigas, Atzvus and Daigas is the same thing. It's self. This is a big thing to say. I'm not going to unpack it right now. Atzvus is self-projected into the past. Daigas is self-projected into the future. Same thing. Okay? Either way. It's Timtum Aleiv. Yeah? And it's selfish. Psichas Aleiv is when the heart is open. Now, when the heart is open on the right side, that's called Simcha. When the heart is open on the left side, that's called Avelus. If anybody's had the pain of having to be misabel, you will know that it is the opposite feeling of depression. Your heart is alive. It's pumping so hard, but it hurts. You with me? That's, by the way, my Moya Katan, that all the halachas of Avelus and Simcha all stick together in the Gemara.
It's a bit of a chalamoid. When you sting Shiva, it's a bit of a chalamoid. In a weird way. It's like life's...
No, you don't say Shiva Chalamoid.
No, but it's a bit
feels
of
like Chalamoid.
In a sense where...
I'm saying,
like
Moed Katan is that they're all treated... If you look at the halachas of Simcha and the halachas of Avelus, there's the Shiva, there's the Sheva Brachas, there's the Shana, there's the Shana Rishona, it's all bound up with the same... It's really... It's the same thing from left to right.
It really feels like a parallel.
They are, but they're opposites in that they're both... The heart is alive, which means in that sense they're not opposites. But one's on the left side, one's on the right side. So what's the opposite of Simcha? We said is Atzvus. The opposite of Avelus is also Atzvus.
You know, you're going to love this, but before my dad's funeral, someone approached
me.
What? Before my dad's funeral, before his Levaya.
But who's Levaya?
My dad's.
Oh, your dad was Nifta?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So someone approached me, was my meeting, and tried to get me to take Tanya.
Oh, to calm down the Avelus.
They told me, what do I need it for? Like, a few family members were painting and stuff, and like they clearly needed it, but they were like, I'm fine. And this is Hashem wants me to experience this right now. Like, why should I just numb myself? Absolutely.
One of the biggest days one of the biggest days available for moving forward is Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is a Mesubah day for that's why we do Kriya when we're Avelus. What's Kriya? You tell your begadim. What's begadim? Is your behavior. When a person is in deep Avelus, they have tremendous ability to change their behavior, which is what it's all about. That's why you tear your clothes. It's you're available. You're now powerfully available to pull yourself out. Not that this is it's kind of a segula, it's a side point. Yeah, the actual mitzvah is the mitzvah of Avelus. But just remember, when you're in Avelus, it's a mesubadika time to make leaps and bounds forwards in your service.
Yeah, like it shocks you into being crazy present.
The what?
It shocks you into being very, very present in the moment.
It what's you?
Shocks.
Shocks you. Yeah. Shocks you.
It's just like,
It's your heart is alive. Your heart is alive. That's the point. You're available to emotion. So a person who's depressed, he won't be misabel. He'll just get more depressed. A person who's really able to mourn would be a person who's besimcha. You understand? Well, his heart is open. So when somebody dies who's close to him, his heart is open. It will be genuine availus, and there'll be tears, and there'll be energy. Just it hurts. Energy from the left side. With me? So now, where the Rebbe goes here, and this was all just Hakdama, yeah? These chapters, these 2 chapters, you could write so many books on. It's ridiculous. That the biggest impediment to avodas Hashem is atzvus. Because if you're not available to emotion, well, that's the energy to serve God. That's the motivation to serve God, is emotion. So if you're ba'atzvus, that means that your heart isn't open. That means there's no energy. That means that there's no emotion. There's no energy. There's no service. So how do you... Now he spends the next 2 chapters, really, explaining, and when you break it down onto when you get clear the structure of Tanya, it's just so majestic. It's just amazing how he did it. The more and more I learn the Sefer, I've been saying this for years, but I'm learning it more and more and more. The more it's impossible that it got written in my mind, that it got written by a human being. It can't. It's clearly divinely inspired, or I don't know what was going through the Rebbe's mind when he wrote this. But when you see the structure afterwards and how everything is holographic and it's all the time explaining everything. Everything's explaining everything. Yeah, it's completely like, it's not a human thing. Anyway, or not a normal human thing. So now he breaks down, so what are the 3 impediments to simcha? What are the 3 things that get you down? And I heard Rav Shais Tal describe it like this, yeah? It's happening to you, you did it, you are it. Those are the three categories of things that attack your simcha. It's happening to you, yeah, something bad's happening, yeah, that makes you depressed. Yeah, you did it, and avail. You're getting depressed because you did something like me yesterday. I wasted a bunch of time, and my wife ended up having to deal with it because I was all cutness and uts and angry and whatever. So my wife, poor wife, I do an Averia in my office, and then she has to wipe it up. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, when you do something bad, or at least you miss doing something good, that also brings down depression. Yeah, and then what about if you just realise that you're no good? Not that you're doing bad stuff. Yeah, that's predicated on having bad thoughts. Yeah, that's chapter 27. But let's break it down. So chapter 26, he says, and these are the aces, and it gets it kind of gets all a little bit Kabbalistic, but it's still very simple, the basic idea, although the language isn't so simple. It's happening to breaks down into 3 categories, yeah? Chayai, Banai, Mazoinai. What's the order it goes? Banai, Chayai, Mazoinai?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the order?
Banai,
Chayai, Mazoinai? Or Chayai, Banai, Mazoinai, I think. Banai, Chayai, Mazoinai? Yeah. Yeah, Banai, Chayai, Mazoinai. Yeah, the problems with children. Yeah, family relations. Banai, Chayai, Mazoinai. Chayai is health issues, and Mazoinai is panasha issues. Those are real. That's not like,
The Gemara says that those are things that are dependent on your mazal.
Either way, whatever, they're outside of they're things that happen to you. So if you got whatever, maybe you caused biot and stuff went funny, but anyway. So now the eights is, those are real things. We're not talking about you've got your new table and it had a slightly different finish to what you ordered. Yeah, I'm talking about real things. Yeah. By the way, when things like that happen, you should jump for joy. Shimamash, in my kitchen, when we got a new kitchen, they put like the lighting underneath the cupboards above, like in the set. And the carpenter had screwed up one of the units, the last unit, he hadn't put the channel. So when the electrician came to put the thing, he's like, in my com somewhere. So I'm like, well, I'll call the carpenter and he'll make the channel. And he's like, I'm not coming back. If you can get it done right now, I'm like, what'd you do? So I realised my kitchen's always going to be here. I spent a lot of money on this thing, and there's the light goes all the way round and then stops there, and you've got a dark part of the thing, And every time I walk into my kitchen, I sit. Right now, it broke that thing, so it doesn't matter. But from then on, I walk into my kitchen.
That's where you put the urn.
You put the what?
The urn. the hot water heater.
I look at that part of the kitchen and I smile to myself and I say, I can deal with this. It's okay. I'll get through this. It's okay, Diamond. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. When things like that work, and I'm telling you, I've seen people, I'm sure you've seen as well, people literally reduced to availus, to deep tears because of something that was like just ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'll tell you what got me into a bad. This is off topic, but it's fun, What really messed my head up yesterday, that is the reason why my wife had to deal with an unpleasant husband, was that I bought something on Amazon and it came up, oh look, all you need is to spend an extra $37 and you will get free shipping. And the shipping was $30. So I was like, that's a no-brainer. I need to now find something for around $40 and I'll get it for like $10. So, okay, back into Amazon, which I didn't like, back into Amazon. And so I find a couple of things, add them to the basket, and it still says you need $37 more. What are we talking about? And then I realise there's only certain products on Amazon that get the free shipping thing. So I'm like, and then conveniently, there was a little red thing that says, oh, here are the ones that give you free shipping. I'm like, Baruch Hashem, Amazon, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Click. And now I've got a whole thing in front of me where I know it's going to be taking off that $37, So I needed a backpack. Whoever needed a backpack, wanted a backpack, And all of a sudden pops up I spent probably an hour looking for a backpack when I got back from India, And all of a sudden the perfect backpack pops up for $62. Click immediately, And it's green, so I choose the black one, and I go back, it still says $37.
The black one is not for shipping.
The black one wasn't for shipping, just the green one. So now what do? Do I get the green one? I'm like, if I got a choice, I don't care if I took a green bag last time, If you got a choice in a green bag and a black bag, you buy a black bag, So now, some evil man in Amazon, it's like when we went to America, my boys are real Israeli, businessmen, They say in Israel, when someone squeezes you, they get you by the throat and they squeeze you like that, In America, they just suck the oxygen out of the room. So you don't know what's going on, but you're just a pawn in their game because they've thought about it and they've constructed the system. So I felt like that in Amazon. I'm like, what do? Do I get the bag, the green bag? I'd rather the black bag. The whole reason I went there. In the end, I ended up giving them an extra $30. I paid, instead of getting the $37 off, I've left the $30 and I added $62 more to my order. And I'm just thinking, how much thought and algorithms went into that? That's probably, actually, thinking about that now, that's the only thing that gives me a little bit of menuchas and nefesh. That to squeeze that extra $60 out of me cost them millions and millions of dollars. That actually makes me feel a little bit better. Screw it. That got me in a really bad mood because I felt like I was... sorry for what I'm going to say, but I felt like I was being raped and there was nothing I can do about it. That's what I felt. Like, I stripped away do you hear what I'm saying? Like, they got you against the wall and you
It's carnal game.
you're just like, I'm just a victim in your system. Anyway, sorry, that was really off point. But I had to get that out, and thank you for helping me with that. That really helped me exercise those feelings.
You know how many psychiatrists and psychologists they're working on?
No, I don't.
On the dopamine feedback. And
Of course, I know. I give this.
They pay crazy money for it.
It's ridiculous. I said that at my Shabbos table, I had this kid who was like this. like a all-star kind of young American 17-year-old kid into his Nike sneakers and whatever, yeah. And I was making fun of him a little bit, and I said to him, you realise that it's basically you standing in front of like an army of about 1,000 Ivy League super geniuses whose whole job is just to get you to buy those sneakers. And you think that you think that you chose those sneakers, yeah? You were being held down by 1,000 people. Each one of them is significantly more intelligent than you and more driven than you, yeah? And there's 1,000 of them at least. And they've been doing this for hours, thousands, millions of hours. And you think you've got any choice in the matter as a cyborg? It's exactly what you're saying, isn't it? It's insane what we're fighting.
It's like what they say.
The fight now is insane. What?
They beat him until he says, "I won."
Yep.
But it's very the get. But that's because you bring out your ratzon. Because the.
So again, back to the point is that now the two things. This is I suppose this would come under Chayai Banai Chayai Mazona. Yeah, it was happening to me, and that brought me down. So what the Rebbe said. This is a hard pill to take when you really take this when you take this pill to the nth degree. This is a very difficult pill to take. Is that everything that happens to you is not that Hashem let it happen to you. Hashem is doing it to you. Whatever happens. And now I'll just go there because it's worth saying. There's a mimer in the Tzemach Tzedek about it's Kohen Balmum. Yeah. That Y.Y. Jacobson spends a lot of time. There's a mimer called Kohen Balmum in the Derech Mitzvah Secha. And long story short, he says that these neshamas, and he says it in a very long way with a lot of Kabbalah, but it comes out, the basic understanding, we understand it, is that these neshamas who have to deal with these crazy traumatic childhoods and stuff like that, they actually chose. When they were coming down from Shemayim, the Rebbeinu Shalom explained to them what they're going to have to deal with, and these neshamas that could deal. What? They were masking to take on the challenge. So people getting like, I don't need to fill in the blanks. Everyone knows what kids have gone through. Everyone knows what people go through. The kinds of insanity that people go through. Yeah, the Rebbeinu Shalom did it also.
But why? Why would they say yes?
What?
Why would they say yes to that?
Because if you can strip away the graphics from this world, that's the key to everything. The key to everything is look at it for what it is, not for what it appears to be. And then if you're in the neshama, like you turn around to Elon Musk and you say to him, "Would you like to build some big factory in Zimbabwe?" He'll be like, "Why?" It's a challenge. Like they've got no infrastructure. It's like, what are you talking about? I want to build a Mars. Zimbabwe, leave me alone. A big neshama will be like, I don't need to. I'm just giving you an idea. It's kind of what the Tzemach Tzedek says. Big neshama is like, I don't want to patchkey around with this stuff. Give me something real to get my teeth into. It's like giving Einstein, a very simple equation. Give me something big that I can get my head around.
So it's taking all that trauma and then building a deer Tanya inside that.
Whatever it is, once you strip away, like when all the person can see is that their father raped them. I've been dealing with something like this. When their father's been raping them since they were 4 years old for 8 years. When you're looking at that, yeah, you're stuck. There's no getting out of that. But if you can try and strip away the graphics and go deeper and understand, then there's a chance that you can actually rip yourself away from that and be masakan that, whatever that was, whatever that is. Kolzman, you're calling it what it is on the pshat, which isn't what the Hasidim do. Hasidim are lifnim mishur sadin. You can't go anywhere. So all of these, so that's as far as it goes. So now he explains that there's two kinds of good. Yeah, there's good from what's called the Olama Diskasia, the higher world, the hidden world, and Olama Diskalia, the lower, the revealed world, which is just very simple to understand. Is that when my kid does something good, I'll give him a lollipop, I'll stroke his face and say Kol HaKavod. Yeah, that's good on his level. When my kid runs across the street, yeah, I'll grab him and I'll shake him and say, "What on earth are you doing?" And he doesn't he can't comprehend. Like, Abba, why are you shouting at me? I just run across. What's the problem? He doesn't understand, because that's discipline. That's goodness coming from my level. That's coming from a higher level of seichel. That's coming from my level. That's why a child can't appreciate. That's why sometimes you have to punish a child. But if you're a good father, whether you're slapping your kid around his face because he ran across the road, yeah, not that I'd recommend doing that, or you're stroking his face and telling him he's amazing because he did really well on the test, it should be coming from the same place. The Tova Yeled. It's coming from the same place. Right now, this child needs some strict discipline. Right now, this child needs some very deep love. Same thing. So that's what he explains. So the reframe is what we just said, is understand that no matter what, and I didn't go through a traumatic childhood, yeah? I didn't get raped by my father. I didn't deal with, when I look back at my childhood, I had nothing traumatic happen to me. Anything that happened that was traumatic in my world, Hashem made sure that I wasn't there. Literally, time and time again. It was ridiculous, all these things. Either way, so I'm not really qualified to speak about this, but I'm just telling you theoretically, and I've also seen a lot of people who have become stuck by things that they call traumas that you would have to kind of bite your lip from laughing at when you hear what they're talking about. And you hear people go through the craziest things in the world and they're functional, at the end of it, they're functional, happy, productive human beings. There's a way through it. By the way, the key to the way through it is relationship, is the opposite of klipa, is oneness. In all these psychology books, it always comes down to that. The kids who can recover from these traumas are the kids who have got healthy relationships or healthy caretakers, etc., where they can have a real relationship. That saves you from everything. That's the inyan of oneness. That's kudir b'tachtonim, if you want to say it like that. That's Hashem's ikar. That's Hashem's ikar, is oneness. So the first thing he says is, if you have an issue with depression because of banai chayai mezonai, reframe it and realize that it's a good. Actually, it's a better good. It's coming from a higher place that you can't be masig. Yeah, I know it's easier said than done, but that's the answer, and we should meditate on that. Now, what about when you've actually done something wrong and you get depressed? Like me yesterday, yeah. Not only was it that I felt I got raped by Amazon, but I also spent much more time than I should have on buying this thing for this boat and whatever. Imagine how much time you can spend buying it. Then you find out that this one's too loud, so you have to get the... Anyway, I'm going to spend more time on that, yeah? So I was angry that I wasted a lot of time. That sounds like a good thing, yeah? A bit depressed now that I wasted a lot of time. Is that correct? So what he says, which is really one of the most important things actually that I think he says in the whole book, in my opinion, is that he says, if you're just sitting there and you're a balasakim, you're in your business, and all of a sudden you start to get depressed over things that you've done, he said, where's that coming from? And he adds this teeny little thing in that changes everything. The words are... One minute. Yeah, so he says that these thoughts, these depressed thoughts, when somebody thinks about how bad they've been behaving, these depressed thoughts are there to bring him deeper into Aveira. And he says, where did these thoughts come from? Because if you're just sitting there working and all of a sudden you're thinking about Aveiras that you've done and you get depressed, that didn't take any real energy, yeah? So he says these words, really tshuva is, and this is how he explains tshuva, if you want to get depressed over what you've done wrong, which is it's not the right word, the word he gets to later is called Merira Saleh, where you kind of feel bitter-hearted. He says you need to take out a time, set up a time. We got Yishuv das Nizboinen b'Gedulas Hashem, to be Nizboinen on Hashem, on Gedulas Hashem, whoever. Asher Chotaloi, who you sinned against. And this is worth giving some time to, is that there's two options. I was not nice to my wife yesterday, and now I could, after she walked out of the room, which she did, I could now think two things, assuming that I don't just keep eating my dinner. I think I did. But if I was if I wasn't such a fat Balgaiva, I should have had two thoughts. Number one, which isn't a good thought, is I can't believe what level I've fallen to. I'm such a rusher. I'm so much. I could be so much more than this, and here I am being this little, cotton and being bitchy and v'chule. Yeah, that is not called tshuva. It's better than what I did, I think, but I just sat there and kept eating. But that's not tshuva. Real tshuva is, I can't believe what my wife has to deal with. She deserves so much more. I can't believe what she's having to put up with. She deserves so much more than that. That's tshuva. That's asher chotaloi. So when a person feels bad for having done aveiros, if it just kind of pops into his head when he's sitting around, well then he's just feeling that he could have done better. That's those thoughts are mushrosh and gaiva. Whereas if he actually sits there and he meditates on the Rebbeinu Shalom a little bit and realises who he was hoite against, that's tshuva. That's returning to him. Not returning to yourself. That's returning to him. That's mamash tshuva. He says it in three words. Asher chataloi, who he was over against. Okay? And so now just to finish off, that's basically chapter 26, where he says basically, so you've got two options. With these causes of depression, it is either number one, it's happening to you, or number two, you did it. Yeah, and those you need to have some kind of way out of those. Yeah, life's not going right. You feel like you're getting a patch from Hashem that could bring you down. So realize that a patch is a patch of love to try and bring you up. Okay, or you've been doing aveiros and now you're getting down about the aveiros. Yeah, are you down about the aveiros because you've been hurting Hashem, or are you down about the aveiros because you think you should be much more than this? Yeah, that's not really what that. You don't be down about the fact you should be more than this. Yeah, be down about the fact that you've hurt Hashem, and that and I know people will shout against me for saying that you've hurt Hashem, because you can't hurt Hashem, but Hashem doesn't like aveiros. Yeah, that you've irritated him, let's say. Yeah, you've rubbed him up the wrong way. Yeah, that's worth getting upset over, but you can't do that without actually taking a time out and thinking about the Rebbeinu Shalom. So those are his choices. Now he moves gear and he says, what about bad thoughts? Now this is the Beinoni. And by the way, chapter 27, remember the Tanya is 53 prakim. So everyone says the heart of Tanya is Perek Lamed Beis, which it is, yeah, everyone says that. Yeah, but there's another way of understanding it. If it's 53 prakim, you have 26 prakim, and then 26 prakim, and the perek in the middle is perek Kaf Zayin. Yeah, and I really believe if you spend time learning Kaf Zayin, you'll see this is the ultimate perek about the Beinoni. It's like things like this that made me feel that it was so beyond human. It's so beyond human. So he's talked about the two things that are kind of external. Yeah, there's what's happening to you and what you do. That's not really you. But what about the fact that you keep having these dirty thoughts? Dafka niftika thoughts keep popping into your head. Yeah, as we all have. That's not saying the bad thought comes into your head. Yeah, and you push it out. If you entertain it, that's only an avera. But it's not an avera to have a bad thought. That's just schmutz popping up from your heart, yeah? That's the ra inside of your heart becoming enclosed in oisius and popping into your head as a niftika thought, yeah, or hateful thought, but generally a dirty thought, yeah? So if you entertain that thought, that's an avera. But the fact that the thought popped into your head, and if you're good Beinoni, or if you're a Beinoni, you push the thought away. B'shtei yadayim, and you're masich das. You get rid of it. Yeah, as we do. You get a thought, and you'll be like, go away. You know? Now, that isn't something that's happening to you. You could touch that as well. It's not something that you've done. It's just you. You are bad. You've got bad in you. You think with Kanievsky was having that thought that you had of that guy standing there doing whatever he's doing. You think that any of the tzaddikim had images like that popping into their head? I don't know, but I'm assuming not. So the fact, what?
Of course they did. They had the Yitzharos.
No, not true. Not according to Tanya. The real tzaddikim would not have those thoughts. That is, by the way, that is the definition of the Beinoni. That's the definition of the Beinoni. That a tzaddik does not have those thoughts pop into his head, except there is one way from somebody else.
I remember that used to
what?
say, because you think you have the Yitzhar, my Yitzhar is so much bigger than everything.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah, but I'd like him to see what I saw when I was a kid. Yeah, let's see him get those images out of your head. By the time I was 21, the only law, there was one rule until I was 21. One rule only is don't get caught. Everything was mutter. Just don't get caught. I grew up in atheist North London, where there was no remez to any. So if there's no God, well then there's no morality.
You didn't grow up with the internet.
What?
You did not grow up with the internet.
I didn't go where?
Grow up with the internet.
With the internet. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, we did enough, Babby. You're right. Anyway, the point is that, I don't know, but according to the way the Tanya breaks it down, the way I understand it is that a tzaddik, if he's called a tzaddik, he will not be having bad thoughts coming to himself. He could end up getting thoughts from somebody else. That does happen for sure. I know that for sure. That you can end up, if somebody else is having bad thoughts, you could end up with those thoughts, yeah? Or any stupid thoughts. That I do know exists. But we're talking about a person who has his own thoughts coming up from himself. That's the definition of Beinoni. The Beinoni, in truth, is a Rasha who acts like a tzaddik. Again, Rasha doesn't mean he's walking around, killing people and raping, yeah? It means that he's got a sense of independence. He's got a real sense of independent self, yeah? So the
why is that Rishon?
Well, again, that's what I'm trying to say. That's according to your take of according to the way you define the word Rishus and Rasha, it wouldn't be. But the way the Tanya understands the word Rasha, which means Sitra Achra, this table is also Sitra Achra. It just means other than Hashem. That's what Rasha is. It has an agenda outside. What's the definition of Rasha? A yotis atzmim in a cloud. That's what the.
You say that it's the Rasha part of you, but the Rasha Shabbat.
Yeah, but you can say, but that means that if you
you're
really
not cool Rasha.
No, of course not. Well, it doesn't even matter. If you are cool in Russia and you're acting like a tzaddik, that's mamash givoldi. You'll be makadish your Russianness. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's the goal of Tanya is you are kurasha. He says kurasha. He says kurasha like Rabbi said. I'm like a Russia. Let's say kubeinoni slicha. Who's basically a Russia. You have said that you made tzaddikim and you made rishoyim. That's all there is. There's only two options. You're either completely dedicated to the organization or you're not completely dedicated to the organization. You might be really highly dedicated to the organization, but it's not utter dedication. A tzaddik is utter dedication, yeah? So the definition in this sense of the Beinoni is a man or woman who has Ra in their heart that gets manifest. Where else does it get manifest? Because they don't speak anything bad. They don't do any averas in machshava diva or ma'aser. So what's the difference? For all intents and purposes, what's the difference between a Beinoni and a tzaddik? A Beinoni, how much better can it get than no avera in thought, speech, or action? How much better? And he doesn't ever miss a mitzvah aseh. How much better does it get? So he's like a tzaddik, no? He's a tzaddik. What's the difference? This is the difference. The Beinoni will have dirty thoughts pop up into his head and he has to push them away. So the Rebbe turns around and says, you're depressed because you're having dirty thoughts and you're pushing them away. Not that you're entertaining them. That would fall back into chapter 26, the Averas. but you're just upset because of the fact that you keep having these dirty thoughts and you push them away, that's gaiva. Well, you think you should be a tzaddik? That's what he says. It's coming from gaiva. So get rid of that depression also. That also doesn't have any place. A little twist. That's what a Beinoni is. A Beinoni is a man who is struggling internally on a level of machshava.
So we shouldn't feel bad when we have those thoughts then.
No, as long as you don't entertain them, especially as long as you don't click on them, and then sit there for 4 hours salivating over them. Yeah, that's called entertain. Why is it? It's interesting. Why is it called entertaining a bad thought? You entertain is like when you have a bunch of people around, you bring them in. So you don't allow the door. You don't let him in the door. He opens the door, and you're like, oh, sorry. Like the way you put down the phone when they call you and they're like, Sean's them Mizrahi to just you don't get into a conversation with them, yeah. Or I pass it to my kids sometimes. I'm like, Yochanan, here, someone wants to speak to you. It's like, well, that's the trick in India. Just as a side point, if you ever want to get away from a street vendor, they're very difficult to get away from. Yeah, the ultimate way that never ever fails is you look at another Westerner and you go to him like this. Just point to the other Westerner and nod your head to the Indian who's trying to sell you something. He will immediately leave you and go to that guy, and you're free. That's how you get away from it. Anyway, I don't know if I do that anymore. I did that when I was a kid. So that's we'll finish that. That's it. That's the point. Is that we've got three reasons for depression, and the Rebbe's just trying to get you out of it. He's just giving you answers. Yeah. Number one is it happened to you. Number two is you did it. Number three is you are it, which is a different category, by the way. Yeah, that's why you've got the first two in chapter 26, and then the very heart of Tanya, which is 27, the middle of Tanya, that's giving the expression of the Beinoni. So the answers are, if it's happening to you, what are you depressed about? It's a higher good.
It's being done.
It's being done to you by the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's being orchestrated to you from the Yud K, not from the Vav K, from a higher place in Hashem Kivyochel, and it's there to bring you up. So pull yourself together and get back to Simcha. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, Shaleichem. Number two is you did it. That sounds like a reason to get depressed. Yeah, the Averas that we've done, we should be a little bit depressed over. She said, no, because if you're depressed over the fact that you've done Averas, what that really means is that you're depressed that you've done Averas. Yeah? You're not depressed about the fact that you were over Devar Hashem, that you were messing with the Rebbeinu Shalom. You're upset that you didn't nail it. Yeah? That's not a reason to be upset, because you're not the Spitz. Yeah? If you to think about the fact that you were over, that it was Hashem deserves more from you, that's already a valid, not reason for depression, but a reason for some negativity in you, yeah? But if you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you feel bad, pull yourself out of it. And then the third one, which is the coolest one, is you're down not because it happened to you, not because you did it, but you've got these bad thoughts keep percolating up into your mind, and you push them away, and you just think you're mamash disgusting. Like you're looking around thinking, I'm sure other people aren't having thoughts like this. Yeah, I feel disgusting. And the Rebbe says to you, this is exactly what a Beinoni is here to do. Because a Beinoni never does anything wrong in thought, speech, and action. So how much better does it get? The fight of the Beinoni is in the world of machshava. That is the fight of the Beinoni. You get dirty thoughts, but primarily it could also be hateful thoughts, etc., vicious thoughts, envious thoughts, but primarily it's dirty thoughts, niyaftika thoughts, he says niyaf, yeah? Niyaftika thoughts pop into your head, yeah? The primary avoider of the Beinoni is you're like, oy, push them away. Get away. That you could maybe say is another reason why the internet pornography is another reason why it's such a tragedy, is you're inviting these thoughts in. Your whole avoider as a Beinoni is dealing with negative thoughts, and you're sitting there watching, whatever you're watching, whatever it is, whether it's hateful and vicious, and we don't think it's bad like watching MMA. Yeah, it's better than watch. a lot of us feel, Baruch Hashem, I'm watching MMA, I'm not watching like other stuff, yeah? You know what that's doing to you? Like, that's making you a more vicious person. Those guys are animals. Just watching people hurt each other is a vicious thing to see. Watching animals hurt each other is desensitizing you and making you more... Nothing good is coming from that. Watching snooker, yeah? That's what I've come to the point. That's like the only thing that I could do on YouTube, which I feel that the only thing I did was waste time.
There's nothing like watching a lion eat a gazelle.
Well, there is. There's like watching... Anderson Silva snap his leg when he kicks whoever he kicks. Those are the same thing. It's coming from the same place in you. Or watching it, or if you get really deep into it, then you start going to those gore websites where you start watching things that people never saw unless they win the pogroms and stuff that they never wanted to see. And the guys there click, click, click on the next thing, which is, all of that is it's taking you out of your Beinoniness. It's just making the struggle harder. So, whatever. If you're going to watch something on YouTube, watch like either snooker or cute cat videos. But realise that when you're watching animals, cute cat videos.
Two cats go to the street and slide and see the video.
Yeah, they're not cute. Anyway, I'm just trying to tell you that most of the things that we're doing on YouTube, we think that it's not Gimel Klippus Tameis because it's not pornography. Yeah, it is. It really is, and I'm just I'm putting it in context of the Tanya Pack 27 is that you are now setting yourself up for you're making your avoider as a Beinoni harder. Okay, shkoyach. That's chapter 367. Good Shabbos.